My name is Joseph Alai. Welcome to my channel. And today I'd like to talk about putting it to the test and what will happen when you do so. So I know for me, um, before I had really grasped manifesting and the action of manifesting, and before my life was one big manifestation after the next, for years I remember I had been practicing a bit, but I had constantly been reading and learning and theorizing and getting different angles and listening to lectures and reading books or like getting any piece of information that I possibly could. And but the truth is that only to a degree is that a good idea. But when it comes to a certain point, when you get past the fundamentals, which is when you finally realize all of these things boil down, which is just imagination creates reality, what it comes to be is that we just waste time and we're afraid to actually put it to the test, right? A lot of us would rather just keep reading and keep learning different techniques, but never really test it. And there's many reasons why that's true. A lot of it comes from fear and the fear that perhaps it's not going to work, or maybe you test it a little bit, but you don't want to put it fully to the test, just in case you get let down. But the truth is that you cannot prove this wrong. I'm telling you right now, I have gone through all of those phases. I've tested everything, and I'm here to tell you that you cannot prove these teachings wrong. You cannot prove that imagination creates reality is incorrect. Because, like I said, over the course of many years, I'd gone through all that for you, right? I had those fears. I had those doubts. I spent all that time reading, researching, listening to people regurgitate false information. And what it really comes down to in the end is actually trying it. Because when you do try it, when you do test it, when you systematically practice and try different things and experiment, then you will prove to yourself that you do have complete control over this world, that all things are possible, and that this world is truly just a projection of your imagination. And when you have come up with that conclusion, when you build your faith, then you will know that you have all power and that nothing can stop you, right? So put it to the test, and that's what I want to talk about, right? So one of the issues that people often face is that they have one primary objective, right? A lot of times this comes down to like a specific person or like money, right? And it comes from extreme contrast, right? So just really feeling like you're truly so in love you can't think about anything else, or you're so you don't have much at all, so you're so desperate to have more, right? And so that becomes the sole focus of the desire, right? And the problem with that is for many of those things that we would consider big, there's a resistance inside, or there's conflicting thoughts, ideas, doubts. We can't suspend judgment. We can't suspend our senses. And so what happens is we are defeating the purpose of manifesting, right? We don't see that result for that one and only thing that we're focused on. And so people tend to give up at this point and say, oh, this doesn't work. But these teachings, this is a way of life. Imagining is truly the solution to every single problem, right? Imagination creates reality. Your imagination is God. God has all power, and your imagination is the operant power of God in this world, right? So everything that you've ever experienced and ever will experience is it comes directly from your imagination, or some thought or idea or feeling or mood or imaginal act. So with that said, right, it is the solution to all problems. So that big focus, that thing that you're only testing it on, that one thing, you should really be testing this and making this a way of life to solve all the problems in this world, to get everything that you've ever wanted in this world. Because it's true, you can have anything that you want in this world. And so my suggestion would be, if that's you who I'm talking about right now, pick a number of things that you desire. Anything, right? Even if you have one core main desire and that's the only thing that you want, come up with multiple things to put this to the test so that you can prove to yourself that you are the operant power in this world, that your imagination is the true reality, and that whatever is impressed on the subconscious mind through your imagination and feeling, it will manifest in this world, right? You can clear up your past. You can change the person that you are. You can change the world outside, and you can change other people. You can get health, wealth, love, happiness, and you can give that to anyone in this world, right? So don't just focus on that one thing, right? We want to systematically prove that this is true so we can begin to help everyone in this world and create the life beyond our wildest dreams. And I truly mean that. And that's my wish for you. It's just to put it to the test, okay? So just to sum up the idea of manifestation, right? The imagination creates reality. And what it takes to create what you want in this world, to experience what you want in this world, to manifest what you want in this world, what it takes is to imagine the fulfilled desire, right? In other words, imagine what it would be like if you were now the person that you want to be. Imagine what it would feel like if you had what you want. Imagine what it would be like if the people that you loved were in the state that they wanted to be in, right? So that's the premise. And so what we have to do is outline a scene that would embody the fulfilled desire, if and only if, a scene that would be if and only if the desire had been fulfilled, right? So specifically, if it is that specific person that we're after, it would be a scene that would be if you were married to them, right? Or you have those children, or you are in that committed relationship. Never think of the how or anything in between, because that's not our responsibility. If we imagine obstacles or something in between, we are creating more obstacles or things in between. So it is our responsibility to only imagine the end. Imagine the solution to all problems. You want health? Imagine yourself already having good health. Your friends, your family, they need money, they need health. Imagine them with money. Imagine them with health. The end desire, right? And once you have outlined this scene, you need to now figure out a way that you are going to make it feel real. And generally, people shut off the senses and bring a scene into their mind's eye, right? That scene that you've outlined, and enter into it in first person, a condensed version of that scene, and repeat it over and over. Each time repeating it, giving it more detail, making it as real as you can. That's the purpose of repeating it over and over, to making it feel natural and realistic, right? And you want to be in this scene in first person point of view. You want to be looking through your own eyes, looking at your own hands, and feeling the point is to feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And that's why we make it as lifelike as possible, to actually feel that feeling, right? And while doing this, we want to have the senses shut off, right? Senses are contrary to the imagination. Like this world is contrary to the imagination, right? We want to only see the end. And when we start to look at things from the outside, we see limitations, we see barriers, we feel feelings of like lack and how that's impossible, right? So we want to shut all of those off, right? Because when we imagine the end, it doesn't matter anything in between that becomes impressed in our subconscious mind. God then executes that in reality, and we will encounter a series of events, right? A series of events will automatically carry us to the end result. We won't know how, we won't know why, we won't know when, but we will end up there if we successfully impress that on our subconscious mind, right? And like that state akin to sleep, that state that we want to be in to impress this is simply when the analytical mind is resting, when it is not active, right? So some people call this a hypnotic state or near sleep or a meditative state, right? Some state where the subconscious mind is most impressionable. And if we can do that, if we can get in that state, play that scene before our mind's eye until it feels real, if we can really feel those feelings, right? Then we can release it, drop it, and let it go. If we know that we have imagined it successfully, if we know that we have felt it, then we know, because God living inside our human imagination has heard it, then we know that it will come to pass, okay? So if we successfully imagine it, we can drop it and not think of it again, right? And this is where testing comes in, because you can test all these things. When in the morning, which I always talk about this, I write down a number of things that I desire. Small things, whatever, it doesn't matter. Small things and big things, it doesn't matter. I write down, I always say, I got a free cup of coffee. An old friend messaged me, whatever, a bunch of things, anything could be mixed with small, big, it doesn't matter. Don't think about them too much. In that speed in which I just said it, I have a free cup of coffee. An old friend messaged me. I found $100 on the floor. Whatever, right? In that speed, without thinking about it too much, writing down desires, right, to test this, right? The reason I'm saying that is because we realize that those things that we think of and then we drop, they come to pass so quickly. And the same thing goes for the big desires too. The only reason that it seems difficult to manifest them is because we have trouble dropping it, suspending judgment, suspending logic, right? And so if we can practice this constantly and start to see when they manifest, which ones are manifesting, what was the feeling that I was having when I was imagining this, all these different ideas, what type of technique did I use, right? We start to gather evidence, and I always log everything. I log everything. I write everything down in a journal, right? It's not important how I write it down, as long as I'm claiming it as if it's already happened in some way, like I receive or I have received, right? Not I will receive. We do not want to talk about not having it yet, because we're talking about the end, okay? Another technique that I use frequently is using my Audible Senses to play the scene, right? I'm still using my imagination, but instead of bringing something before my mind's eye, right? If I don't have the time to get into that meditative state, if I don't have the time to sit there and continuously replay this scene until the tones of reality my subconscious is permeated with that, then I'll do it with my hearing, right? I'll do it with my hearing. If you have a conversation with like someone very close to you, telling you how, wow, you have gotten so successful, right? And then I would respond, yes, I have, right? I play those scenes back and forth in my mind, just to hear it, and then I drop it. It's no big deal. But the point is to test all this. Try it with everything, right? Because we have the solution to all problems, and this isn't speculation. This isn't theory. I'm telling this from my own personal experience, doing this so many times, thousands and thousands of times, that I can't even keep track of everything that I'm manifesting, right? Another way to do this would be through the sense of feeling, to feel like you're there. Inner conversations when I'm driving, I will have the inner conversation as if I am the person that I want to be. If I'm in a mood that I'm not too fond of, I'll imagine myself a few minutes from now feeling the way that I want to feel. The point is to treat this as the solution to every problem, right? Practice all the different techniques, practice them all different times a day. You don't have to sit there 20 minutes, all like 20 times a day, and imagine things, fleeting thoughts, inner conversations. Take a minute to imagine the end. Just hear the conversation or feel the feeling. Whatever it takes, I do this all day long. And what starts to happen is it's like an experiment, because you begin to be able to trace the types of thoughts you had, how many times you imagined it, what did you feel when you imagined it, what time of the day did you imagine it, um, all these different aspects, the time interval, all these different aspects, you begin to quantify and prove to yourself even further that these things are true, right? Like I go back to writing down that someone tells me I'm handsome, and then I go to sleep and I wake up the next day, and within the first hour, 2 people say it to me, right? We're talking about people specifically saying things that I've written down. How much power is that? Anything that we desire is ours if we know how to use our imagination, right? So lately, it's interesting because with doing this, right, we start to monitor our thoughts naturally, and it strengthens the imagination. We begin to see more manifestations, and there's like a few examples that just happened within the last few days that I just want to talk about as to like the signs and the types of things that I just see simply just practicing, right? Like I've been my coworker today, he randomly asked me if I knew about meditation, and he started to tell me about a technique where he went into he didn't call it imagination though, but he said into his meditative state, and he started changing the scenes of his past, and he started talking about forgetting scenes of his past or saying that they never really happened, right? Why would this person randomly talk to me about this? You know, it's no secret that my inner conversations, my thoughts, the things that I saturate my mind with are going to be mirrored to me in this reality. But how amazing. He's talking about revision, which is exactly what I do on a regular basis before I go to sleep at night. I revise during the day, whenever. So it's just the things that we see become more frequent. The manifestations become more frequent, right? I've been contemplating writing a book. And one of my friends I run into just in the sidewalk, and he says to me, Joe, when are you going to write a book? He had no idea. He doesn't know any of this stuff. He doesn't know what I'm doing here, you know. A friend, so I'm thinking of the topic of the book, right? And it's going to be on a process that can transform self and allow dominion over the world with these teachings, right? And a friend contacts me out of the blue, whom I don't speak too much, and he asks me to help him with his personal self-inventory, which is specifically, right, one of the things that I always recommend is to write out all of the events of the past that you have resentment against, that you have fears about, that have caused you pain, people that you've injured, and then revise every single one because of the transformation that it's going to have on this world, knowing that imagination creates reality, right? He calls me and asks me if I can, and that's what a piece of the book is going to be on. He calls me and asks me if I can go over his inventory with him, right? You can't even make this up, right? It's so far from the realm of a coincidence that it's not even worth. You get what I'm saying. Let's see what else. Another thing, right? As this YouTube channel, as I was basically moved through compulsion to make this YouTube channel due to whoever set this in motion, whether it was me, which I believe probably was, but like I was moved to do this, right? And as I did this, right, so my friends in my town, none of them have ever shown interest in any of these topics, teachings, right? It's just like people in the regular world, you know, like I have my friends that I share this stuff with, but then there's my friends whom I don't really talk to them about this stuff. Anyway, with my three closest friends, as soon as this YouTube channel was up and running, they all started asking me specific techniques to how this worked. They started listening to me, right? This isn't coincidence. This all goes together, right? The fact that I constantly use my imagination is one of the reasons why I see so many synchronicities in this world, right? Flowers, right? I had flowers on my mind. Someone brought up flowers to me. I started seeing flowers everywhere, specific flowers. I ended up buying flowers for someone. Finally, today, someone sent me a picture of flowers. Like, it's whatever's impressed on. So it's like whatever's impressed on the subconscious mind, no matter how simple of an idea, no matter how fleeting it is, I will see the results in this world as signs, as manifestations, whatever. I was contemplating this thought yesterday about, it was about someone brought up the idea of like the drug epidemic, and I was thinking like, wouldn't that be amazing? I was thinking of this in imaginal terms, like, wouldn't that be amazing if this was like eradicated, right? I didn't think too much about it, just for a split second. And today I get an email. Purdue is going to file bankruptcy, probably. All this stuff that just goes perfectly in line, right? And all these things. The reason I tell you all these smaller manifestations is because these all happened to me within like a day or two, like the last few days, right? And so for me, it's almost a joke, the ease and the clarity of how this is all true, right? People are acting out the way that I want them to act out. People are acting out on my assumptions. My very world is proving to me all the things that are in my imagination, right? And so putting it to the test, right? I see constantly, I'm constantly reminded, and it's so motivating to see this, right? But the point is that I don't just have one desire, and I don't just focus only on one thing. I love to see, my life has taken on new meaning, different meaning, right? To manifest everything that I desire, just for the sake of it, to utilize that power in me to bring someone health, to whatever. You get my point. So anyway, put it to the test. Practice. Use your imagination in everything. You will start to see the whole world shaping to what your mind looks like, right? Manifestations will come easier. You'll start to build your faith massively, and you'll stop wasting time just spending hours and hours per day just reading and writing and never putting it to the test, right? You can't just be a hearer, be a doer. Be a doer, prove it to yourself so you can teach it to someone else. So anyway, that's all I've got for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely put it to the test, please. If you liked it, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay tuned for more videos. Go to the website sovereignmind.com. Thank you.